Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, Drew Gann and Rusty Witten. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, back from vacation, Rusty Buckets, back where I belong with my guy, Uncle Buck, a.k.a. Drew Gann. This is going to be live, raw, and uncut because this is really the first time we've talked in probably 2 weeks. So what's up, Drew? How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I am good. It is back the way it should be. Quick thanks to Wayno, who's already in the comments, 4 o'clock a.m. Australia time. And Zach Jones for hopping on with me on Thursday. Could not have done it. I would have done it, but it would not have been pretty if they did not join, you know.
And I owe a big thank you for both of them stepping into my place and doing a much better job than I do. A, B, thanks for everybody with the birthday comments, the birthday shout-outs on the show on Tuesday. Y'all know how to make a fella feel loved. And it was weird to find out I'm not the favorite family member live on air, but yet here we are. Thank you, everybody, for piping in. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So it's Tuesday, and we got a lot to catch up on. It's been 2 weeks since we talked last. So we start every single Tuesday edition of the Two Buck Sports Show the same way. Rusty, hit the button. It's our best of beef of the week. Best of beef of the week. I guess best of beef of 2 weeks. So this is where we talk about the best thing that happened to us since the last time we talked and our biggest beef since the last time we talked. Rusty, try to keep it short, but what's the best thing that happened to you since 2 Thursdays ago?
So many things, man. Like, first of all, she gets a lot of shout outs on here, but she absolutely deserves them all. Maggie was awesome with what she planned for the trip. It started last Friday with the Cavs game, which was a bummer of a game. We had a great time. The TA retirement on Saturday. Then we left for Louisville, Kentucky for the week and got to hit up some of my favorite distilleries. The Louisville Slugger Bat Factory and Museum, which was awesome. Churchill Downs. Ate a black and blue steak at Repeal Oak in Louisville. Shout out, no free shout outs. Had the best dessert of my life there. They serve brioche rolls prior to your meal. Okay. Then they take those and make a bread pudding with bourbon butter, caramel, and pecans. And when I tell you that was the best dessert I've ever had, it's not close.
It's a bread pudding has the highest floor of any dessert and also the highest ceiling.
Yeah. And this was like my Mama Stanley, God rest her soul, made the best with just like scratch white bread or rolls or whatever she had laying around.
Your Mama's name was Stanley?
Her last name was Stanley. Mama, Lola Irene Stanley. But had an awesome time. Absolutely driven, Dave. Thanks for being here, buddy. Yes, it was a great trip. Old Forester was and still is my favorite bourbon. Let me show you this. I got a dope addition to the background over here. Hang on one second. It's worth it.
Oh, wow. That's great.
I got a barrel top from Old Forester. It's amazing. Like,
it's awesome.
It was such a great trip.
We're going to need a bigger wall.
Well, we're going to do some rearranging this weekend. I'm going to move maybe the bookshelf, do a few things. But again, big shout out to Maggie for planning this, getting all this amazing hotels, the Moxie in Louisville and the Delegate in Frankfurt. Just an awesome time away. I was unplugged. I mean, again, I didn't even talk to my best friend for the week outside of on my birthday, and so it was awesome, man. Really,
he didn't even watch his birthday episode till like Friday.
I'm telling you, the only electronics I took was my phone, and even that was barely used. So it was much needed time with my favorite lady, and it was awesome.
Yeah. So thank you to Rusty's girlfriend, Stanley. My best of the weekend. Because I did talk to you on Thursday. Listen, it was a good weekend. I mean, just all the way around. How much time you got. But the best thing I would say that happened over the weekend was travel ball started back. And I never said I was going to be that parent. And I'm never going to be the travel ball parent that has the bad stereotype, you know? Like, I'm not going to get ejected from games. We're going to do this. We're going to have fun. And if we're not having fun, we're not doing it. Like, I'm just not going to be that parent, you know, the parent who I went with to watch my cousin play baseball growing up. My Uncle Rob got ejected from a travel ball game.
I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, he's a big Uncle man. Rob. Looks like Bill Goldberg. Okay,
dead on.
And loves to sit right behind the umpire because my cousin David was a pitcher. Mm-hmm. And at one point,
and a very intimidating fella.
Yeah, he took his glasses off, fished them through the netting behind home plate, and said, "Hey, Blue, you need these more than me." And he said, "You're out of here." And I just sat back down. He said, "Move me." And he sat there the rest of the game. But my best of the week is just travel ball. It is it's a lot of fun, and so watching my boy and his team just kind of develop as baseball players, and we got a long way to go. They're not playing winning baseball right now, but it is fun. I do enjoy it a lot, and so. And it was Saturday. It was beautiful outside. I mean, 10 out of 10, even with the losses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
But, all right, what goes up must come down. Rusty, your biggest beef of the last, 10 days.
So it's been really trendy recently, these alpha bros with these morning routines where they're rubbing nanner peels on their face and the lemon water and all that stuff, right? I had a brush with one of these fellas at the Biscuit Belly in Louisville, Kentucky. First of all, great restaurant name, great breakfast. If you're in Louisville, worth the stop. I got the Biscuit Benny, really good. So we're sitting there, and it's not that crowded because it's a little bit later in the morning, probably about 10 or so. Breakfast rush is over. And at the bar sits these two couples. They're probably in their early to mid 40s. And one of them's named Joe. We know that because Joe called himself Joe and talked at the top of his lungs the entire time he was there, including about his bowel movements, how he had already had number 2 and was working on number 3, berated his wife for her Amazon list to the point of saying, pull up your list. I'll pull up mine. We'll compare and see who orders more. And just talks at the top of his lungs.
I'm kind of on Joe's side on that one.
But he talks about himself the entire time, being that alpha bro. But I know more about Joe, and if you're listening in Louisville, Kentucky, Joe, stop it. I know more about his bowel movements and poop regimens than I know about people who I'm close to. And it's just a random citizen trying to be that alpha bro talking. And you can tell the guy that was sitting with him was just like, why are we talking about your poops? It was just in a restaurant where there was probably 6 or 8 people. It was reverberating around the concrete walls. Don't be that guy. Don't rub nanner peels on your face, and don't talk about your BMs in public.
I wasn't plugged in much this weekend either. I've tried to do a better job just getting off on the weekends and stuff. And everything, my whole timeline is Grizzlies stuff, and I don't want to consume that right now. And so I was just off of it. And the first thing I did when I logged back on, I don't know, it's yesterday or something. The first thing I see was a meme, and it's of the blue water bottles and a bunch of bananas. and a bowl full of ice water. And he was like, and it said, if you don't know what this means, you haven't been on Twitter in long enough. And I was like, I guess I haven't. So I started going through it.
The guy literally dives in the pool and floats in the air for 4 minutes. That's some of my favorite thing is somebody made a video of him jumping at 7:36 and it's 4 minutes long. And at the 4th minute, he falls in the water.
My biggest beef of the week is just car trouble. It always sucks. I'm not going to go into it. Talked about it on Daily Grind yesterday. But the van went kaput, and it's in the doctor's office right now, and I'm waiting on a call back from the surgeon. So, let's lift your spirits.
Let's have a moment to lift your spirits, and let's talk about the very thing that you don't want to consume right now because nothing's going to make you feel better.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about Ole Miss being a double barrel. It's dirty.
It's off my show.
That's dirty. All right, let's talk about the Grizzlies. So we're not going back all the way from since you were last on the show. But this is the last time we had a show. Zach and I recorded our Mascot Madness episode during the Blazers game. So I didn't watch that one, and I would assume that most people in the chat and listen to this don't want to talk about it. But then since that day, we played the Clippers, and that didn't go well either.
No.
So, Rusty, I mean, what do you want filled in on, I guess?
Well, nothing. We're leaving it alone. It's a new day. We got the Jazz coming up. Yeah, next. I'm going to hit the video. No, I want to talk about, we're going to start with this. Like, Drew, I have a question that I want you to think about while I'm talking about this.
Okay.
Are we that much different than we were last year? Stay with me. Yes, we're winning at a higher tick, but we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. Two of them are G League, assignments. Our injury list continues to grow. We have yet to have a 2-week period where Ja, Dez, and Jaren have played every game together. Currently, we've got Lamar Stevens is doubtful. Marvin Bagley, apparently what happened, and I've got sources on this, is that when Taylor Jenkins found out that BC was done and he was going to have to play Marvin Bagley, when Bagley walked in the facility yesterday, Taylor Jenkins runs down the hall, RKO out of nowhere, boom, drops him in the hallway, concussion protocol, can't play Bagley.
I bet Taylor Jenkins would be flattered to hear that you thought he was capable of doing that. To a 6'10" center in the NBA.
The rumor is he jumped off of a speaker box that was set by the door position there. But Bagley's out. BC, obviously, that one hurts deep in the feels. Right, PCL strain. You got Gigi and Yuki of the G League. Ja has gone from shoulder soreness to hamstring strain. And Zion, who's literally never laced him up on the court, is still out with his knee surgery. So, Drew, given, yes, win-losses are different, but are we that much different than last year when we were bit by the injury bug?
Yeah, I believe this is different. I guess not totally, but it is different in the fact that we've dealt with another season of injuries. And I'm not going to make last year we dealt with a season of injuries and left praising Taylor Jenkins for what we saw out of Vince Williams Jr. You signed Vince Williams Jr. to contract because of the injuries last year. You signed G.G. Jackson Jr. to a long extension because of injuries and the development you saw last year. This year it just seems like it hasn't been a train wreck of injuries that's derailed it, but it's been so consistent that it feels like last season was a lost season, but this season it feels like it never had a chance to really get momentum. And I know there's been a lot of talk about rotations. And listen, I'm not going to be the guy today to tell you Taylor Jenkins has done a good job this year. But my goodness, playing with the hands that you've got, I mean, you're dealing with it again. It's just injury after injury. And you just you've had to figure out how to adapt. And it just seems like at this time of the season, it's just like everybody's just kind of like enough is enough. Like, I don't know what to do. I think Ja is more or less just taking it easy until the playoff starts. I don't know what's going on with Bagley.
Wayno says it here,
probably
right?
Not 100% healthy. Like,
we make a lot of excuses for the team. We also make a lot of excuses for Taylor Jenkins, and this is not going to be a Taylor Jenkins podcast.
No.
I'm not going there. But what I want to talk about, I want to add this: the Easter season's right around the corner, right? Like, Easter's coming up, and everybody loves a good Easter egg hunt, right? You find the plastic little eggs in your yard, right? Well, last season felt like we opened our egg and there was a couple dollars, right? There was $2 in there, right? Because we got Vince and Gigi out of it. Like, this is like we found some money in what was a hollow season, right? Get the metaphor. This season, it feels like we've opened that egg up and there's like some green jelly beans and a brown one in there. And it's like it's a shell of a season. Yeah. We're not finding a lot of good things. Jaren was good for a while, but he's fallen off. Dez has been good in streaks, but he hasn't been able to carry the team by himself. If he gets a tech or goes for 40, we lose. It's just science. Ja has yet to play more than 6 games in a row. And we're still like, we've had good rookie play and then it's fallen off. We've mishandled Zach Edey. We'll get to that here in a minute. Gigi's lost his confidence. It just feels like when you open that egg, we just haven't found, to me, a lot of silver linings yet this season.
Well, I think that is probably being a little bit too critical of the season on the whole based on, of course, not for you, I guess. You've been pretty critical for Taylor Jenkins the whole season. At least you've been consistent.
And right.
For 2/3 of the season, we've been the 2 seed. There's been a lot to be excited about. And for 65 games, we've looked forward to every single Grizzlies game. That's a season worth remembering. That's a season that's been fun. Yeah, don't forget what last season was. Now, you cloud it with wanting a new head coach. That's fine, whatever. The truth of the matter is, for me, and I'll say it again, the season will always the success and failure of NBA franchises when you've got 3 max players rests solely on 3 max players. We could say Zach Edey's mismanaged. I don't care. Zach Edey should not be affecting this team's bottom line. It should be Ja, Dez, and Jaren. Ja doesn't want to play or stays injured. Dez has been the most inconsistent that I've ever seen Dez. Call it because of injuries, because he's had a couple big ones. And then Jaren's been really great. But none of it's going to work, and none of it's going to reach – the team's not going to reach their full potential unless they have Ja Morant. And Morant just hasn't been him.
Ja hasn't. We've also had a lot of goofy rotation minutes. Like, I would argue that some of that is on injury, some of that's on consistency and cohesiveness, and a lot of that has to do with nobody knowing their role, nobody knowing their exact timing in a game. It feels like he'll pull Zach Edey 3 minutes into the first quarter, and then 5 minutes, and then 8 minutes, then he plays the whole second quarter, and then he won't play in the second half. He does the same with Ja and Jaren and Dez. There have been times where we've had Ja, Dez, and Jaren all sitting to his left while the other team starters are boat racing our bench players. And Drew, that's fine if you want to say all that, yeah, we've been second place in the West for, 2/3 of the season. But again, it's a fragile shell, because if you really deep dive, we've been having these same issues since October, and you and several other people have been very critical of me and others that have called that out. Yes, it was fun to beat Washington and Portland like we did in November, but every time we got into a fist fight and every time we played somebody good since October, we have struggled with it. Now it's March and we're still having the same issues. I'm not solely blaming Taylor Jenkins because Ja Morant has been MIA, but there's a lot of issues that have been going on all season, and now it's trendy to say, oh, well, yeah, I mean, we're struggling right now. We've been doing the same goofy stuff since October. Nobody's wanted to say it, but it's the same song and dance that we had when we lost back-to-back to Brooklyn. To Chicago blew our doors off in November. Chicago.
That was the first 10 games of the season.
And we're still doing the same crap in March, bro. Like, how many excuses are you going to make?
Here's my thing. And I'm not making excuses. I just have a fundamental disagreement on what's important and what's not. And I said this on the Daily Grind. I think I said it here last week with Wayno. It's like, here's the only way I'm going to like just dismiss somebody at this point. If you've got a pie chart and you're looking at who to blame, the only person that is completely wrong is the person that puts 100% on
Correct.
one thing.
Correct.
And so if you want to put 80% on Taylor Jenkins, fine. I am never going to blame a coach when the best player plays as poorly as our best players have. I'm not saying he's without flaw. I've never said he's without flaw. And to start the season, I said this is a playoff-based decision on whether you keep him going forward into 25-26. I still believe that. I also believe that there ain't no way that this team gets out of the first round. So
agreed. Can I ask a question? If coaches don't truly matter,
I didn't say they don't matter. I put more emphasis on the players.
You said that players win games, and that's a fact. Coaches have a lot to do with it, though. So if coaches don't matter as much as you say they do, can you explain what happened in Cleveland? Same players as last year.
Oh, what happened in Cleveland? They blew the doors off of us. they
same players as last year, but they made a change. They made a change.
Oh, you're talking about going into it? Oh, hey.
Yes.
You're making a point that I've already made. Like, don't ask me that question. I made that point first. I said the biggest reason, in my opinion, you can make to fire Taylor Jenkins is what happened in Cleveland. Not rotations, not anything
rotations
else.
Are what are going to lead to him getting the outs. That's for sure.
No, but I'm just saying the needing of a new voice. That I started that conversation. You don't have to ask me.
I think like the biggest thing for me when Taylor Jenkins lost me was when we came into this season thinking that Brandon Clark was going to be our corner 3 assassin. Like that's when I like, but it lasted way too long.
But Brandon Clark has attempted to shoot threes his whole career. That wasn't
4 last year or 2 years ago. Like he shot 4 the entire season.
You remember
he was
his
shooting
second
like
year in
3
the
or
league?
4.
He was amazing his rookie year. In his second year in the league, he was garbage because they tried to stretch him for the whole season.
Again, like Taylor Jenkins has been doing this goofy stuff for a while.
I'm not saying he's blameless. I'm definitely not. But like I said, on the pie chart, and our pie charts look differently. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the comments, everybody listens, knows kind of where our pie charts lean. But the only way anybody is totally wrong, and to me, there's three sections in this pie. It's coaching, it's players, it's front office.
Mm-hmm.
And the front office
goes around.
Yeah, and the front office is growing, and coaching for me is growing. It's still not over the lack of production.
For me, if I had to put it into a chart, I would have to
get your calculator out. You're not.
My brain is starting to smoke. No, and like this might surprise you, but I'm going to say it's 60% coaching, 20% players, 20% front office. Because yes, the players need to go out and win games, but they're not being put in positions to win games. When Taylor Jenkins' response to things not going well is play more players. You don't let guys figure it out. That you just start pulling people and shuffling the deck. Hey, hang on. This is going to be really short. I don't like that. Zach Edey, we'll talk about him here very, very soon, was having a decent first half the other night against the Clippers and decided, you know what? Let's put John Conchar at the 5. Let's put Brandon Clark at the 3-point line. Let's put 7'5" Zach Edey at the top of the key shooting threes, not where he belongs. He's played Jaren at the perimeter his entire career. Then the players are a part of that because they're sitting out games, they're not playing. We haven't gotten any consistency, and there's some blame on the front office. I'm not out on Zach Kleiman by any means, but I need to see some stuff. Like, we keep double, triple, quadrupling down on youth, but that's fine if you think our championship window is 6, 7, 8 years down the road. But like, our big three are in there or coming into their prime. Yeah. Most players win their first title around 27, 28, and we're really close to that. Well, we need some help to get there. So that would be mine, 60, 20, 20.
Yeah, okay. I would put probably mine's closer, I think, to an even spread. Although I'd put probably the players at 50 and then do 25, 30 on coaching. The rest
20 on front side. 20 on, like, you making fun of me doing that. You're the engineer. No wonder Chipper County's in trouble.
And my thing is like, the coaching thing is going to resolve itself. I truly believe that. I don't think that this team is capable of making it out of the first round of the playoffs. And if they do, and heaven forbid they make a Western Conference Finals, it's because in no small part Taylor Jenkins got something out of this.
He woke up a miracle.
Right. Okay. And the players, I'll always be the guy that says players win games, especially at the pro level. I flip-flop that at the college level. College level coaches are important. I don't believe coaches are as important, but what they are most important in is
there's examples that they are.
It's just being able to unite, and that's where Taylor Jenkins, I feel like, it's lost.
Unite, stop rhythm with timeouts and fouls, and put the right players in to succeed.
And Zach Kleiman, like, I would like to sit down with a former executive, somebody who knows. This little bitty podcast sports show here doesn't have that draw yet. But what I want to know who decides who plays, who sits, who's injured, who gets assigned to the G League, because a lot of this stuff is being put on. I was listening to a show on our network that put G.G. Jackson's assignment to the hustle on Taylor Jenkins. And I just don't think it has anything to do with Taylor. I think a lot of this stuff is Zach Kleiman
and agents and Taylor Jenkins. It's a lot of hands. It's
collaborative. I will do that. Especially for a guy that's making as much money as GG probably has very little say. I do believe that if John Morant wanted to play, dang it, he'd play. Like if he approached it with that attitude. But Kleiman he's done as good a job as you can executing the game plan in which he has exeted. And his game plan was to build a grassroots team extremely
in a small market.
You've got to move on and to go get the next guy, to get the vets. He hasn't done that yet. His story will be written this offseason, I believe.
Yeah. And I want to end this conversation before we transition to Zach Edey with this. At the end of the day, we agree a change is needed. I don't think a midseason firing out, if we lose maybe 5 or 10 more games in a row, maybe, I don't see us firing him until the offseason, regardless of what happens.
There's no chance you fire a coach going into the playoffs.
Especially when you're sitting in the top 5. Like, I don't think so. I think you just got to grit and bear it and see where the cards fall as they fall. We'll know more about this team in 2 weeks and in 3 weeks as the season's coming to an end. But I do think a change needs to happen this offseason. I got some guys in mind. That'll be content for the offseason. We got games to talk about now. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today is what I have seen as a mismanagement of Zach Edey. You know, both you and I were out on him on draft night. We came around, and shockingly enough, if you follow this show long enough, we were on either side. We have parted again.
Yeah. To be honest, when we came together, that was that's what I wanted to be. I want to be on the side of the Grizzlies guys having success.
And let's talk about some success. So this is November the 4th. This would be November the 12th. Looks like most of these are November and then December, right? So Zach Edey had a whale of a finish to 2024. Played really well as the calendar year was closing. There was a stretch there where he was dominant, becoming one of only 2 rookies in NBA history to have 25-plus points, 12-plus rebounds, 4-plus blocks, and shoot 90% from the field with Hakeem Olajuwon. Joined Victor Wembanyama with 19 points, 7 boards, 5 blocks, 2 steals, plus 19. Joins Luka Doncic as the only rookie in NBA history to record 16 points, 14 boards, 9 defensive rebounds, 3 steals, and joins 3 rookies, Edey, Tim Duncan, and Dwight Howard with 13 points, 15 boards, 6 offensive rebounds, and a plus 20 plus or minus. There was a streak there where Zach Edey was running away with Rookie of the Year, and all of a sudden he has his headache issue, and then it's just curtains, and it's been a completely different usage. Now, Zach Edey has not been without issues. I think that there are things he obviously needs to work on. He needs 2 things, in my opinion. He spends the offseason on the Jugs machine and at Golden Corral, eating everything in sight because he needs some weight and he needs to be able to catch.
You can sell tickets. Eating with Edey.
Oh, let's go. Hashtag trademark. Can't steal it.
Is Orion still around, you know?
Not in Memphis, but there's definitely a Golden Corral here in Memphis, and I will I'm stealing that trademark, not hashtag trademark. Eating with Edey, that's our segment. But I think that part of it is Edey had some growing pains, and part of it is Taylor Jenkins has completely abandoned what was a promising start to the season. We changed things in the offense. I would love to see early in the season there were games where we went to Edey for the first couple 2 or 3 possessions and got some momentum in the paint. And that'll keep teams honest on our guys at the 3-point line and open up some lanes. I personally think that again, this is year 7 of organized basketball for Zach Edey. I personally think he's been criminally mismanaged this season. What say you, Uncle Buck?
Yes and no on some of those things. I know it makes for a lot of retweets and bookmarks and stuff when you see individual game stats and compare them to all-time greats, you know, but those are individual game stats. What I see is he could be a weapon if used correctly offensively. In the future, not now. Not now. He can't. Not with this offense. Not that he's just.
Can I ask what offense? Because we've blended and done so many different things. Yeah. Are we still running the motion? Are we more pick and roll? What are we doing?
We're running kind of. I think they've tried to blend it as much and so as much as they can, and I think you're getting kind of
nothing. Honestly,
you're getting a lot of what you got. When it depends if John Morant's playing or not. That's what it is. Edey struggles when John Morant's not playing.
I get that.
Nobody's setting ball. He needs to set ball screens. He needs to get offensive rebounds.
And we go as Ja goes, but we got to figure something out when he's not there.
But you know what? When he's not there, we suck. You're paying the guy to play basketball. He's making $40 million a year. He's the best player on your team. Look around the NBA. What is the Warriors without Steph Curry? What are the Lakers without LeBron and Luka? Every player that is making a max contract who is playing on a team, the team sucks if they don't play. That's just how it works. That's the salary.
Not every team, but anyway, you know, go ahead.
But
I'll concede.
Anyways, in regards to Edey, in a rookie season, all that you can reasonably expect out of him is to be a good screener and a good rebounder. He has flashes of good rebounds, but if he got half the rebounds that hit his hands, he would be setting records.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with Edey is not the offensive end, though. At his best, and I think in his future, looking forward, at his best, he is Rudy Gobert, who is defense. He's a big dude in the middle who can finish lobs, and on defense, I don't see a way that he will ever be able to switch a pick and roll. And that's what gets Rudy Gobert in trouble. And those Utah Jazz teams that were so good and these Minnesota Timberwolves teams that are so good, when it comes down to playoff time, he's in every pick and roll, and he's never figured out how to defend it. I don't see a scenario in which Zach Edey can defend a pick and roll. I mean, I just don't see it. I've not seen it yet.
And that's fine. Throw the baby out with the bathwater in year number 7 of organized basketball because he has shown flashes on defense. He has shown flashes on defense. You just said that you don't see a way that he'll defend the pick and roll. You just said
I did. I didn't say throw him out or trade him, but I think that he's best as a fifth option or a bench guy. Like, I don't think he is a situational basketball player. But you know what? 80% of the NBA are role players. He's a role player. His deficiency is going to be the pick and roll defense. And I hate to break it to you, Rusty, that is all defense is in the NBA. If you can find a way for him to not suck at the pick and roll, defending the pick and roll, then send a letter to the Memphis Grizzlies and let them know. Send them to the NBA and let them know.
But what I'm saying is
capable of defending the pick and roll.
I'm going to clip this because what I'm saying is that there are flashes where he's done well. He's also figured out his way in the NBA. He's a rookie, year 7 of organized basketball. When he is better next year, I'm not saying he's going to be an elite level big, but all we need is a role player who gives us 20 minutes a night. And what we get is we'll get 12 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 9 minutes here, 19 minutes there. You cannot tell me that there's not a world where consistency would make him better because the inconsistencies of this team, get that off my screen, and that's a bunch of, I guess, whatever.
So let's just look at it historically, Rusty. If you think of dudes 7'4" or 7'5" in the NBA, how many of them have actually had long sustained careers in which you look back and it's like, wow, that was a really good NBA player? I think Yao Ming, okay, his career was very short. I mean, how many guys that tall hold up?
I'm just saying, I'm not ready to completely give up. I'm not ready to give up on Zach Edey. I've seen too much from him.
I don't want to give up on him.
It sounds like it's exactly what you're saying.
I said, as a rookie, all we can expect right now is rebounding.
Goodness.
And maybe a hard screen every once in a while. But I don't think he will ever guard the pick and roll. And for that reason, I'm good with him playing a role on this team. But listen, we're talking about him like the reason why part of the indictment on Taylor Jenkins is the fact that he's mismanaged Edey. And if you want to make if you want to make that argument on the offensive side of the ball, fine. He should have never been drafted.
Edey's the tip of the iceberg.
Or this offense.
Edey's the tip of the iceberg. We could talk about the mismanaging of Gigi. We could talk about
we're not talking about Taylor Jenkins anymore. This is an Edey segment. Shut up. This is an Edey segment. We're not spinning this into a Taylor Jenkins segment.
All right, go ahead then. Rusty Buck, if you could redraft, who would you pick over Edey? What would be your redraft?
I think that I will steal your guy, Khalil Ware.
That's 100%.
I mean, what are you talking about?
100%.
I would give you 8-10 guys. Give me time to do some research. There's people that fit alongside a high-flying offense, an offense that wants to push the pace. Anybody but Zach Edey. We had this conversation leading up to the draft. Everybody else now wants to be like, oh, he's on our team. And I love repping the Grizzlies. Don't get me wrong. But the dude cannot run, and he cannot defend a pick and roll.
Again, I think a lot of that's consistency. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's what I was. Leading up to the draft, I was beating the drum for, to go along with your Jake LaRavia tattoo and DG's Jitty tattoo. At least my guy's still a decent contributor. But Khalil Ware was the guy I was beating the drum for, and he's only proven me right in Miami. Like, yes, he would fit that. But at the end of the day, he is our guy. We're better if he goes better. And I think that we're going to see better play from Edey in the future. It's been a struggle all year. Again, consistency being a big part of that. It's not going to get any better. I think what I think is truly going to happen is we're going to get rid of Taylor Jenkins, going to bring in a new coach, and we're going to see a completely different Zach Edey next year.
I tell you what, so. I hope we fire Taylor Jenkins. They go and say, we're fixing Edey, and they go hire Matt Painter from Purdue, and we try to run that offense. Like, if anybody can get out of Edey, it's Matt Painter.
I don't know. I don't know. Mike Brown did a pretty good job
in the NBA.
Mike Brown's done a pretty good job in Sacramento with some bigs. Like there's several guys that we can get long before Matt Painter.
Totally different.
Long before we get Matt Painter. I just, again, I'm going to clip this and we're going to revisit this.
You want Edey to work? Go hire Matt Painter.
Not what I'm saying at all. I think you hire a competent coach. But anyway, Drew, we're heading into the final days of the season. We got our playoff push coming up, and the Memphis Grizzlies are in dire straits. We have lost 3 in a row, and the schedule doesn't get easier. We've got a winnable game tonight against the Utah Jazz, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on that game because, by God, we should win this game tonight. Because if you don't, as the calendar starts turning into April, it gets gnarly. We've got the Jazz tonight, followed by the Thunder, followed by the Thunder, followed by the Lakers, followed by the Celtics, all before we play the Warriors on April 1st. And it's not going to get easier. Exactly. We're in trouble. Tonight is about as a must-win as we have had since the season began. So what are we going to do to right the ship as we make a push to the playoffs?
Get Ja Morant back. It's that simple. Ja, play basketball. Is he hurt? Is he not? I listened to a No Bluffing podcast today. I had some downtime at work.
Great show.
And I think that Chris and Buckets are in cahoots here on everything.
I don't know, smart guy.
But he did make one good point, and he makes several good points. Okay.
You're just salty.
But the lack of transparency is probably the reason why we're all so up in arms about Ja Morant. And that's the reason why I'm over here saying, just play basketball, implying that he's good enough. He's healthy enough to play basketball. That's what I'm implying if you can't put that together. But I'm implying that because the injury report doesn't make no sense, and there's no details that come out with it in support of his injury. Okay? Mm-hmm. So,
because we're 3-4 weeks into this thing and we've heard nothing.
Yeah,
BC gets hurt, and the next day we have an update. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, he played on March what day was March the 8th?
He dropped 4 points.
And he dropped 44, and he hasn't played since. And he's had 3 different injuries. Yeah. I don't get it. Okay, it sounds like to me like it is one of those things where you're circumventing like $100,000 fine for rest. That's what March it feels 14th. Like.
The last time he played was March 14th against the Cavs. 14th. I was there, dropped 44 points, and we have seen and heard nothing. It started as shoulder soreness, transition to hamstring soreness, and now it's a strain.
Yeah. So
I agree. That's a big part of it.
I dropped my notebook, and nobody knows how tight it is in this room. I'm gonna make an attempt to get this real quick. Y'all watch and laugh. Rusty talk for a minute, and I'm going to talk about standings.
Yeah, and so again, I agree, Drew. Getting Ja Morant cures a lot of ailments because Ja Morant usually leads to winning basketball for the Memphis Grizzlies. Tonight you got to win. You got to weather the storm because the schedule does get a bit easier. We play the Heat again on the 3rd. Then we finish with Charlotte, Minnesota, Denver, and Dallas on the heels with a Detroit Pistons game. So I don't know. We've got to get Ja back. We got to get healthy because the schedule is not fun as we close out the season.
Here's what we're up against. So the Grizzlies are currently.
Hey, listen, real quick, No Bluffing Podcast. If you're not listening, check those guys out. Chris and Evan, they record on Sunday nights, drop on Mondays. It's awesome. Definitely check out that show.
All right. So the Grizzlies are currently 5th in the West, tied for 5th with the Lakers. They're 2 up on the Warriors for 6, 3 up on the Clippers for 7 and 8. The Timberwolves tied with the Clippers. And then there's a gulf. You're not going to fall to 9. The Kings are 8 games behind us. So you're not going to fall to 9. The worst case scenario is you fall to 7 or 8. All right. I looked at records from 3 different spots on the calendar. The trade deadline, New Year's, so in 2025, and then the last 10. Mm-hmm. So as I told you at the trade deadline, I don't want to play the Warriors. The Warriors are 16-5 since the trade deadline. They're 25-14 since the New Year's, and they're 8-2 in the last 10. They're coming. Mm-hmm. I don't see a scenario unless we just catch fire and everybody gets healthy that we dodge or we stay ahead of the Warriors.
Yeah.
Behind them, the Clippers, since the trade deadline, 12-9, since New Year's, 21-17, in the last 10, 8-2. They've caught fire in the last. The Timberwolves, 13-9 since the deadline, 24-27 since New Year's, 7 of the last 10. And then ahead of us, the only reason why the Nuggets aren't further ahead of us, honestly, is because they're 4-6 in their last 10, and the Lakers are 3-7 in their last 10. But both of those teams are 13-9 and 14-9 since the trade deadline. You compare that to the Grizzlies, since the trade deadline, 8-12. Since you salary dumped Marcus Smart and sent a perfectly fine role player to Sacramento for nothing, you're 8-12. And you're like 10 games to the good on the season, 12 games over 500 on the season. Mm-hmm. You're 4 games in the negative since that happened. Since New Year's, you're 20-17, and you're 5-5 in your last 10. That's historical, recent history that you're going to have to overcome because, like you said, the teams ahead of us aren't, with the exception of Oklahoma City, aren't extending their leads over the last 10 games, but the teams behind us are running quick. That's you say both behind us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, catching up quick. We're 2 games ahead of the Warriors, 3 games ahead of the Timberwolves and the Clippers as it stands right now. And so, like, we've got a lot of.
You just finished a stretch of games here where you played the Blazers and lost, not a playoff team. You played the Kings and lost.
Probably not a playoff team.
Not a playoff team. You played the Clippers, who are a competitor of yours, and you lost by 20 after having a halftime lead. Like, you've got to get the moxie right. You've got to fix it. And there's no way to do there. I don't care what anybody says. Coaching, Jaren, Desmond, Edie, I don't care. It's not going to get better unless John Morant plays basketball.
So King meets the right. We got 11 games left. DG thinks we're going to go 6-5 over the course of the next 11. So I got the schedule here pulled up. I want to call them out, Drew. I want you off the cuff, without thinking. I want you to tell me if it's a win or a loss, okay?
Listen, you got to tell me if John Morant's playing. If John Morant's playing, then I don't know. Be a top 3 seed in the West.
I don't know, because at the same time, when he does play, we haven't played exactly winning basketball. So let's go with the fact. Let's go with what we have in front of us. No John Morant. So we play the Jazz tonight. Win or loss?
It better be a win.
All right. The Thunder on Thursday.
It's a loss.
The Lakers on Saturday.
It's a loss. We never play Luka good.
The Celtics on Monday.
It's a loss.
Yeah. That's sometimes a game that we can win. Probably not right now.
No, it's a game we've won one time. Yeah. The last time, historically, we lose.
The Warriors, April 1st in Memphis.
That's my birthday. We're winning. They're going to fight for me.
Love it. Happy birthday, Uncle Buck. The Heat on the 3rd.
That's a win. They've quit worse than the Grizzlies have.
The Pistons on the 5th.
Where's that game at?
It's in Detroit.
Who knows? Flip a coin.
Tell me win or loss. I'm asking you.
Win.
All right, so we're 4-3. So then
they don't need it as bad as the Grizzlies do.
The Hornets in Charlotte.
It better be a win.
We're going to call that one a win. Then we close out with the Nuggets at Denver. Or sorry. Before that, the Wolves come to Memphis on the 10th. T-Wolves come to Memphis on the 10th.
Good Lord, that's an important game.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with the home team.
Okay. All right. So we're currently sitting. That puts it 6-3. You got the Nuggets. You said that was a loss.
That's a one-off road game in
at Denver. And then Dallas comes to Memphis on the 13th for the last game of the year.
Listen, if everything's buttoned up, we're not going to play anybody. I want to say that's a win.
Okay. That puts us right there at 7-4 over the course of the rest of the season.
We have not had a winning record since the trade deadline. I have no reason to be confident that that's how it'll work.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That's also got the season ending on a 6-game winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
John Morant doesn't play 6 straight games.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, I would hope that we would get him back for stretches of this, but who knows, because it's an ever-evolving situation. But, yeah. Man, we just need some momentum, man. That's just what we need. Tonight, we just, winning cures all. You go out and you win tonight. You beat the Jazz, the team you're supposed to beat. You get a little healthier. You get a couple guys back. Let's say you get Ja back for Thursday night against the Thunder. Unless he ducks them, but let's say you get him back, right? You get Marvin Bagley
back.
back.
Set the rest of the games. You might as well set that one. It's not going to make a difference.
Not going to make a difference. So maybe we get him back for Friday. Let's say Friday against the Lakers, right? That's a good one to come back. Or Saturday, against the Lakers.
Just for
that's
Christian Coloco to push him out of the sky again.
I don't know, bro. Listen, we're going to end on a positive note. We're going to say the Grizzlies get a dub tonight and
we're going to end on a positive note. The Rebels are in the Sweet 16 times 2. Michigan State, Jared Jackson Jr., you're going down.
That's all we got time for today. I do got to go. I got a work thing I got to get to. I got a lot of stuff going on this afternoon. But listen, today was awesome. Thanks for being in the comments. Driven Dave, thanks for being here, buddy. King Meeks, No Bluffing Podcast, Chris Evan, DG, Wayno, somebody else up here. Who else was here? David White. Thank y'all for being here. Y'all are awesome. I appreciate y'all hanging with us in the comments. Been a lot of fun today. Uncle Buck, let's go get a win tonight. The Memphis Grizzlies have got to win tonight. Point blank period. It's a must win. Y'all go be a friend to somebody who needs a friend and come back here Thursday at lunch. See y'all at noon. Oh wait, hang on. I'm so fired up, Patrick. I get out the door. I forgot our last little line. It's been over a week. Come on, man. I'm late. I'm coming back from PTO. There are no refunds for what you heard today on the $2 Sports Show.
That's right. Because with the $2, you got 2 teams in the Sweet 16.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.